Good morning. So today what we're going to show you is start to finish. Just got a switch in. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 120 series, which is one of Meraki's top sellers. So we're going to show you everything from when we open it up to checking it out physically, verifying its dashboard status, testing it, refurbishing it, and what it'll look like on the way out. As you can see, obviously everything comes in from either one of the shippers. They don't look great, but that's always what you're going to get when you have a shipment. By the way, it never hurts for the trusty Benchmade knife, which I'm a huge fan of. Alright, so as we can see, we're going to have all kinds of packing material, ugly power cord, and then this particular vendor shipped it to us in bubble wrap, which may not always be as presentable visually, but at least for the most part, they're going to be safely shipped. Usually we don't ship this way, just, again, it's a visual thing, but it's understandable. It's an economic way to pack and ship. So we get a lot of stuff that comes in this way. All right. Yes, so we've got ourselves an MS-120 24P. I mentioned that it was a good packing job. Perhaps it wasn't. We can see that this ear wound up getting bent in transit. You can kind of see how dirty the top is. All of these things are going to get sorted out through our processes. Most important thing, as most of you guys know, is going to be whether or not an item, specifically Meraki, is a claimed serial number. So we'll go ahead, we'll scan that in, and we're going to claim this into our dashboard, Ethos's testing dashboard. We're going to add that to an active network, and we're going to take this over next to our test bed, and then show you guys how we can do all the testing on it. We don't do anything as far as physical until after it's tested. It doesn't make sense to try and clean it up or fix any of these things until we know that it is a functioning unit. So, next up, we're going to go do some testing. Next up, we have our switch in the dashboard. Obviously, it's not online yet. So we'll go ahead and get that plugged up. We're going to test our fiber optic connections, PoE connections, and our Ethernet ports. I like to do the PoE first. This is just a time-saving thing. The fiber optics are going to allow the switch to come online. It's going to give it internet connectivity. And if you go ahead and plug in the Ethernet, you never really know which port is going to deliver. So if you start with the Ethernet and then you have to shift to PoE, it might lose connectivity and have to reconnect. So it's just a time-saving thing for me, really. We got these little chargers, or these little port adapters that'll do all of them. Sometimes with some of the newer switches, they don't fit as well, or if you want to do port by port, you also have the single port option. But again, we're only doing one right now, but when you get in 10, 20, 50, 100 switches, saving 10 to 20 seconds a switch makes a huge difference. So these are all plugged in. We're going to be able to test everything. Currently, it's going to show that it's dormant. Obviously, it hasn't yet come online. So what we'll do here is we're going to wait until this unit cycles through. Right now the light is orange, noting that it's not connected to the dashboard. That's going to cycle through. They actually just started rainbowing now. So it's going to go through the process of connecting to the dashboard. Once that comes up live, I'll then show you what we're doing for testing on all the ports. Alright, so this unit actually didn't take very long to come online at all, which generally means the iOS is up to date. It's been powered up in someone else's network recently. Whatever the case may be, this one took a couple of minutes. We've had other units which sometimes take 5, 10, 20 minutes to come online. So what we have here is, as I mentioned, so these green notations here are going to be the fiber optic connections. And it is what I thought. Fiber optic connections are giving it internet. We now see the lightning bolts, which is going to allow for the fact you can see also the lights here. Let us know that all of those ports are powered for PoE. So we'll go ahead and do internet now. Now the 120s don't have a stack port on the back. If they did, we would also take one of our stack cables here and test and make sure that that stack cable is also connecting. Come through here. I'm not sure if you can see or not. Right now there's a few of them that have come on green. This may or may not take a couple of minutes because, as I said, it's a situation where if the internet connectivity is shifting from delivering internet through an SFP fiber optic connection to one of the Ethernet ports, sometimes that does go ahead and take a little bit longer. Apparently it stayed with the SFP port, so now we have green notations for all of the the Ethernet ports, fiber optic ports. Everything is all set, so now we know that this unit is fully tested for Ethernet, PoE, and fiber optic connectivity. So at this point, we are going to transit over to refurbishing it. The very last step, obviously, we want to make sure that we go ahead and remove this from our active network, delete it from our dashboard, so when our customer gets it, they can go ahead and put that into their dashboard and use. All right, so as you can see, we tried to bend this ear back, and that looks horrendous. A, it looks bad. B, it's not going to fit properly in a 19-inch rack, so that isn't going to work for us. What we'll do is we will do a faceplate swap on this particular unit. So we keep a lot of spare parts from defective equipment, things like that, specifically for these types of situations. So what we're going to do is we're going to prep this for paint, and obviously when you're doing that, we've got to cover up the serial number. We've got to make sure that everything is going to look good, but I'm going to go ahead and prep it, and then we will take it over to the paint booth. So we got the lid off on this one. We've got it prepped for paint, serial numbers covered up. We're going to take this over to our paint booth, and we're going to get started painting. Okay, great. So we finished paint. We've had the lids been completely repainted. As you can see, we didn't have the ability to bend that ear back to its original position, so we used some parts that we had here on hand to swap out the faceplates. So, and again, you saw the original box that it came in, where generally speaking, bubble wrap is going to be enough, but in most cases we try and do a little bit higher end. We've got foam-lined boxes. The bubble wrap is still effective, especially with this kind of density on the side. It will keep it in a good position and safe for shipping. New power cable, so you don't have the long scraggly one. We're going to fold this up. And get this thing taped. So this is now ready to go out to a customer. So you guys have seen from it very first coming into the warehouse, taking out of the box, all the conditioning that we're looking at from that perspective, all the way to tested, refurbished. It actually was tested a second time because with that faceplate change, since we did have the lid off, we want to make sure that we verify all those ports are good still after we've done that change. So tested twice, reboxed, and this is ready to be shipped out for customers. Thank you very much.